Hey guys, good morning, red black greetings. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you're just arriving, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below, turn on notifications, and leave that awesome like on the video. We're here thanks to YouTube Shopping. You can get this jacket right here. I'm gonna highlight Flamengo's new jacket, which has a really special price. Man, this jacket is really cheap, even cheaper than the shirts, than the jerseys. This jacket, man, the fabric is amazing. It's one of the best Flamengo jackets I've ever bought. This one is spectacular. And you can now get it on YouTube Shopping along with other Flamengo products you can buy. And you help Mengão by buying official products. When you buy, you help Mengão. You can get them now, it helps. We get here, man, with some important news right off the bat. Prezziani gave a statement to UEFA about the alleged insult to Vinícius Júnior. And he told a different story from what Mbappe said, and Vinícius Júnior too, but Mbappe said he heard it 5 times. Calling him a monkey, Gianluca Prezziani gave a statement to UEFA and said that he called Vinícius Júnior maricón, a homophobic term in Spanish, and not mono, which means monkey and is considered a racist insult. The case is under investigation by the organization, which is looking into what happened during the UEFA Champions League playoffs match, and there is still no official decision about possible sanctions. Now, let me make it clear. It's not just one person's word against another's. Let it be clear that it's not just one person's word against another's. Other players heard about Mbappe's case, so he is obviously trying to defend himself, but it's a situation that requires a severe punishment. Yeah, so we had Felipe Luis releasing a statement explaining himself, right? About the issue, I brought this information yesterday. I recognize that my statement, given how sensitive the topic is, may have left room for different interpretations. That's why I think it's essential to publicly reinforce my position, which has always been non-negotiable. Racism is a crime in Brazil and should be treated with the same rigor in every country. Mauro Cesar Pereira responded to me, and I understand the points that Mauro Cesar made, but I think 2 points were missing. In Felipe Luis's statement, the issue of the isolated incident, he doesn't address the fact that he said it was an isolated case, does he? There are countless episodes of racism in Europe against Vini Jr. and other players, the statement about one person's word against another's. He doesn't explain what he meant, especially when Mbappe said he heard the racist insult against Vini Jr. at least 5 times. There were other Real Madrid players nearby, and he even covered his mouth. Is it just one person's word against another's, or are there clear signs that the insult happened? The player is defending himself there, saying he called him maricón, but for me, there isn't. I think we have to understand that other people heard it, and they never, in fact, did this kind of thing, like making up the situation. Mbappe, I don't remember Mbappe being a witness for anyone like that. So honestly, for me, it's not just one person's word against another's. And in that, and also the isolated fact that Felipe mentioned, I think he doesn't explain it. He ended up not explaining, right? This situation. Look, Flamengo faces Madureira this Sunday at 8:30 post-Meridian at Maracanã for the first leg of the Carioca Championship semifinal. The return match will be on the 2nd at 9 post-Meridian, also at Maracanã, and whoever advances will face the winner of Vasco da Gama and Fluminense. The game will be broadcast on Sport Television and Premiere, and since it's a Carioca match abroad, it will be on Flamengo Television with video abroad and commentary by João Guilherme. Do you have Flamengo's probable lineup, man? They're listing it here as Rossi, Royal, Leo Ortiz, Leo Pereira, and Ayrton Lucas. I think he's going with Vitão and Danilo. Okay, I think he's going with Vitão and Danilo. Yeah. First of all, Everton, Araujo, Lucas Paquetá, Rascaeta. Yeah, it's possible, but I think he could also go with Cebolinha, okay? I think he could go with Cebolinha. He could come a little different. So this formation, which formation do you think Flamengo should use already against Madureira? and also to get ready for the Recopa Sudamericana match to prepare. I think Flamengo should play against Madureira exactly the way they're going to play in the Recopa Sudamericana. Now, Flamengo needs to find a lineup that repeats itself. Felipe needs to repeat the lineup. This thing of changing all the time, changing, it's not cool, it's not good, we have some information here, including important ones, regarding the Recopa. Libertadores draw. We're going to have the group stage draw for the Libertadores. What's important for us to bring up here is, look, it's a real need moving forward a lot. Flamengo, especially with Flamengo, I was talking about this here with Lucas Pessim, about the issue of Flamengo starting the season with many players not in condition. Look, let's listen here.
No doubt, this is the most complicated period for Felipe and Flamengo, Lucas Pessim. No doubt, not even when he arrived did the fans, the players, or he himself have doubts about his own work. Felipe Luis arrives, if I'm not mistaken, in the 2024 Copa do Brasil semifinal. I'm right. Game in Itaquera, Flamengo with one less player. I don't remember which one. Bruno Henrique. What do the fans think? We're going to start the next season, in this case, this season, doing really well, including Arrascaeta.
We had it and it didn't happen. It didn't happen, Lucas. It didn't happen. And then they're starting with the players. 80% of the players aren't fit to play. That's just how it is. We expected Flamengo to start off flying, and they didn't. Okay, they didn't start off flying, so that's something we have to share with you too. Now, about the refereeing for the Recopa Sudamericana match and also information about the Copa Libertadores draw. Take a look. The referee will be Gustavo Terrera, okay, from Uruguay. The entire refereeing team is from Uruguay. Okay, Flamengo and Lanús at Maracanã, Gustavo Terrera. The video assistant referee will be Andres Cunha, also from Uruguay. Okay, so both the refereeing team and the video assistant referee are all from Uruguay. That's right. And then people are saying, let's win, let's turn it around. It's time for a comeback. Let's think positive. Let's turn it around, man. I also think we're going to be able to turn this game around, okay? Right? Unfortunately, Flamengo has already matched the number of losses from 2025 in record time, right? Flamengo, huh? Look how crazy that is. We brought this information yesterday. What stands out the most is the comparison that last season, the team only suffered their fourth loss in July, about 5 months later than what's happening now. It's surreal, man. We even used to say in the past, I don't know if you remember, there were more titles than losses, all that stuff. Impressive, impressive. We had that here too. I'll talk about the Libertadores in a moment, but Madureira recognizing Flamengo's favoritism and saying they have nothing to lose in the semifinal. The coach emphasized the favoritism. He said the following, look, I usually say this is just a bonus game. There's no downside. If Flamengo beats Madureira, that's normal, and it's up to us to try to change that, and that's our bonus. Play a good game, try to surprise them, maybe even qualify for the final, because we already have a lot of things against us. Flamengo, Maracanã, Flamengo's current situation, we know, no, Flamengo's current situation is terrible. We only have bonuses in this situation. Yesterday, I got a bunch of messages because of the Flamengo and Lanús game. We have to keep an eye on it. These are completely different situations compared to what's going to happen on Sunday at Maracanã. We can't get too excited. It's not that we don't believe we're going to win, but we can't think that Flamengo's turbulent moment will make the game easier than it would be. Quite the opposite. Facing Flamengo right now is very difficult. That's when they'll really be under a lot of pressure. It's up to us to make Flamengo play our best game, try to inhibit everything Flamengo can do. In terms of imposing ourselves, make Madureira stay a little further back. And then the fan here saying the way things are we going to lose to Madureira too, man? That's not even my concern. No, that's not even my concern. I believe Flamengo can beat Madureira. Flamengo is fluctuating too much. They're going to end up playing well against Madureira, and I don't think it's fair for anyone to say otherwise. They played well now. As long as Flamengo doesn't have a good streak, you can't praise just one game. As long as Flamengo doesn't have a streak, you just can't. Look at that. Confederación Sudamericana de Fútbol confirmed Flamengo in the group stage draw of the Copa Libertadores, which took place on March 19th. in about 20-something days, 30 days, March 19th, about 28 days. At 8 o'clock Brasilia time, the group stage draw of the Copa Libertadores will take place at night, so we can find out which teams will face in the Libertadores to defend the title and fight for the fifth championship. This moment seems far away. Flamengo is doing very badly, but Flamengo's situation this year can also turn around. We'll know exactly on March 19th who we'll start against. We'll make our debut in the Copa Libertadores de America. Well, we've reached an important moment here in our video regarding Flamengo's signing of a forward, and Globo Esporte brought news early on that the signing probably won't happen. The signing of the center forward, the striker so eagerly awaited by Flamengo's fans, and the board is looking for this mobile, high-pressing striker and everything else. In the profile similar to Caio Jorge, Flamengo is still looking for this center forward to rotate with Pedro. But according to Globo Esporte, it's very likely that Flamengo will only make a signing at the end of the European season and other leagues. In other words, in the middle of the year in Brazil, the mid-year transfer window. So the biggest chance is that at the very end of this window, which closes on March 3rd. There are only a few days left until the end of the transfer window. Remember, this month is shorter, it's February, so there are just a few days left before the window closes for the Brazilian market. And Flamengo probably won't. It's not that they definitely won't, because in football anything can happen, it's the football market. But Flamengo probably won't sign a striker, for now. It's possible that this could happen in the mid-year transfer window or at the end of the year. So what now? What Globo Esporte reported is that the football department believes that the lack of a natural center forward to rotate with Pedro is not the main problem behind Flamengo's poor start to the season. The team has shown defensive flaws and has conceded goals in the last 8 matches. Besides that, it has been facing difficulties. Creativity with Arrascaeta still far from the 2025 pace. These are situations that need to be worked on daily, along with the squad's confidence, so the team can get back to its best version. So, Flamengo, and I agree with this, understands that the biggest problem isn't Pedro, it's not the main issue. And I said this, the ball just isn't getting to him. Actually, there's no creativity and Flamengo is conceding a lot of goals. In other words, Flamengo's defensive phase, as Felipe likes to say, isn't working. Flamengo has been conceding goals every game, and silly goals at that, so Flamengo needs to fix their defense and also needs to fix their creativity. So, Flamengo isn't managing the final pass, isn't getting the assist, isn't creating, isn't finishing their plays, the midfield isn't producing. And this is also a lot because of Arrascaeta's current form, which still isn't good, and the issue with the defensive phase, as we say. Flamengo has actually conceded way more goals than in 2025 at this same point, so it's unbelievable. Flamengo conceded the same number of goals in 1 month as they did in 3 or 4 months before. It's surreal, and there's no way around it. It's a very difficult situation, so the Flamengo board, the football department believes that the lack of a striker to alternate with Pedro is not the main problem at the start of the season. And the expectation is that Arrascaeta will return to his best form, and that the other players we have, Carrascal and Paquetá, can also help with creating plays and take part in Flamengo's comeback. The demands for bringing in a goal scorer have increased, according to Globo Esporte, due to the setback at the start of the year, and this could speed up the search. The end of the transfer window, management is monitoring the market for a good opportunity. This may or should only happen in the middle of the year because of the options that become available at the end of the European season, and right now, those options aren't available on the market. So, it's a situation that could be resolved regarding the striker. It could be resolved in the middle of the year. Who would be the name that you, Flamengo fan, would like to see joining the club? Look, we've had the Argentine press talking about it. Lanús's victory in the Recopa, they beat Flamengo's millions. Everyone wants to beat Flamengo. Main newspapers emphasize the economic gap between the teams and the Buenos Aires team's dominance on the field. It's obvious they're going to take advantage of Flamengo's early season moment, and obviously these apathetic players and the team also doesn't have a defined tactical scheme. About Felipe Luis, it's crazy. Flamengo was really bad. Felipe was bad, unrecognizable. Flamengo was really bad. And it's obvious that the Argentine press was going to talk about Flamengo's millions. Man, the millions don't go on the field. It doesn't matter if the player is worth millions. If he doesn't perform on the field, the money he's worth doesn't play. So the Clarim. Millions invested by Flamengo shook the market when the club signed Lucas Paquetá for $50 million to be paid over 2 years. The player's hierarchy, compared to other names with European experience like Alexandre and Danilo, was a real concern for Lanús fans who packed the Nestor Dias Perez Stadium and made their presence felt against a very small group of Brazilian supporters. However, Mauricio Peregrino's team worked as a true unit and disrupted Flamengo's offensive flow, especially in the first half. Ole, before the match, knowing they would face the biggest club in South America, which had Lucas Paquetá, because they paid 40 million euros, maybe even up to 42. Any result other than a defeat would be a great achievement for Lanús. Besides, historical precedent dictated that the Libertadores champion was usually the favorite against their South American rival. And there was the presence of the best team in South America, the one that had taken Luis Enrique's Paris Saint-Germain to penalties 2 months earlier. Despite that, Lanús proved to be as impressive as the Brazilian team. In fact, they surpassed them. Ole Clarim, I'm going to tell you something. Flamengo's problem isn't Lanús, who's doing very well. It's Flamengo's own phase, which is very bad. They can't play TYC sports. Lanús was clearly superior at La Fortaleza, and the 1-0 score with Castillo's goal even seemed like a consolation prize. The match will be decided in a week. Maracana. I said that they were talking. Lanús getting closer to winning the Recopa. And they're going after Flamengo in Brazil. We'll see. But that's what I'm saying. It's more about Flamengo's current form than Lanús. It says more about Flamengo's moment than about Lanús' moment. And here's the news I'm seeing here too. Flamengo trusts in a comeback in the Recopa against Lanús, and Rossi recalls the 2025 title and asks for the fans' support. That's because, guys, last year, few believed we could be champions, and this year, many doubted we'd win the Brazilian championship, but we did. So, we just have to believe. And man, I also saw some comments about the Libertadores issue, about the game against Estudiantes, where Flamengo lost in Argentina by 1-0, won in Brazil, and lost in Argentina by 1-0. So that result happened 1-0, Lanús. Now, who says Flamengo can't win at Maracanã by 2 goals too? Or win by 1 goal and go through on penalties and become champions on penalties? Anything is possible. We had in the Libertadores against another Argentine team, Estudiantes, Flamengo going through on penalties. And it was a win at Maracanã by 1 goal, and their win in Argentina by 1 goal. So anything is possible. We also had a situation here about a possible signing of a striker, which has already been denied. But it's also important for us to talk here about a striker that Flamengo signed and who shined. An impressive debut by Josmar for Flamengo in the Under-20s with 2 goals and an assist. The top scorer coming from Hawaii was the big highlight in the 6-4 thrashing over Bragantino. Very fast. The kid that Flamengo discovered is a quick center forward, intelligent, moves well, finishes well, man. He's really strong. He had played professionally for Hawaii while still very young, the youngest player to score in Serie B as well. The first impression was excellent. Flamengo, look at that, man. The kid, Josmar, that's all anyone talks about. The new star of Flamengo, Josmar, that's all anyone talks about. Let's hope Flamengo uses the kid, that he becomes a great talent, a big revelation. That's it. I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, you're invited to subscribe down below. Turn on notifications by clicking the bell and leave a cool like on the video. Red and black greetings. This is Flamengo. A big hug. Thanks. I'm out.